And good morning, everyone. Almost afternoon. Paul Verderosa and Andy Sterling as we kick off another week of action here at Aqueduct with an 8-race card today, 10 tomorrow, 9 on Sunday, and kind of a quiet weekend, right? It's sort of
across the board for the most part. Not too much going on.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any changes to the Derby picture in the Virginia Derby, which I know Paul's very excited with the Virginia Derby.
Yeah, it's about time they run it now.
It really is. It's a race that it just needed to be run. We needed another Derby prep, and
3 points. Everybody gets a point.
Hard to believe the race. I can't even figure out how it got points. Okay, anyway, head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. You and Chancellor McPatrick. We might see him in the wood. We have a $10 money back guarantee. Bet 10 or more on the late pick 4 today. Opt in, and if you hit 3 or 4 of the 4 legs, get a $10 bonus. We also have cross-country pick 5, 3 at Oaklawn. Those races will all be shown. America's Day of the Races got a weird schedule today. We're on from 1:30 to 3:30, and then 5:30 to 6:30. Actually, an interesting race, the 9th at Oaklawn, which will be on some point during that period of time. Anyhow, race number 1. Race number 1, as we take a look at Brooklyn Strong and Ice Time out of this race, horses that probably won't be that short a price, but it was the one replay I could show. And they're going from a mile race to a mile and an eighth. Any interest in either of these horses?
Brooklyn Strong a little bit because I thought for a change he got back to one of his better races visually just looking at him. It's been quite some time since we kind of saw.
Just the Remsen?
Yeah, I mean, beyond the Remsen, this was probably his best
4.5 years since
Yeah, I
he
was
won
going
the
to say,
Remsen?
it took a while. He's a late bloomer. It took
an early bloomer then.
Yeah.
He's not won too many races since that.
No.
Has he won one race since then?
No.
He hasn't won a single race since the Remsen?
No, 2020 was his last win. Yeah, that was his last win. So I just kind of like that he was up on the pace. He kind of dropped back a little, rallied a bit. Maybe he found the old Brooklyn Strong self.
No, he didn't. But
we'll see. I got him second.
Doesn't
So
mean he can't win here.
Listen, in this race with this kind of potential pace setup, they'll probably crawl again and go super slow, and it'll be a slow time, and at least he'll be forward.
Well, if you think there's going to be a slow pace, why do you want Bold Victory at a short price?
Well, dropping and go back 3 starts. I know they went a slow pace, but at least he was closer in a mile and an eighth on a slower pace.
He lost a strong light.
I get it.
Believe me, I get it.
No, I get it. I get it. But at least he's dropping in class in here, and maybe with a slower pace, he's forward from the inside anyway, maybe a couple of lengths off of Brooklyn Strong. It's better than being 10 out of it like some of these like to be.
I'm not sure he's that much faster than anybody in here, and obviously he can win the race, but I couldn't get past the fact that he didn't win that race. And while I don't disagree with you, he is the horse to beat in here. And listen, the horse I picked, Opie Firecracker, he may have no gunpowder left in that weapon, but you know something? He's plunging again for Linda, and it just seems to me that Linda's horses, there's a bit of randomness sometimes in these horses, and at least he was chasing outside, and the rail was good last time out. So he was a bit against the racetrack last time. He's got better races. He can be forwardly placed, and I'm simply not going to take Bold Victory as the favorite. He'll likely be the second choice by post time, and I'll take him as the alternative.
Yeah, listen, I have him third in here. You never know with these Linda horses and dropping again, and he got wired last time, so I'll give him one more shot.
All right, race number 2. So, race number 2, let's talk about Acoustic Avenue before we show some other replays.
Yeah, you know, listen, looking at this horse, I know on its face it probably looks like maybe this level's a little too high for him, but he's just faced better horses than he's kind of facing today in some regards and field-wise.
Well, in some regards. In what regard isn't he?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
He's faced better horses.
Yeah, he's faced better horses. So
he's theoretically sort of dropping in company.
The only thing that I know I have him on top in here, and I guess in a way he's a horse to beat for me in here. I just feel like he's getting good trips and he's just not finishing races. So I don't know if it's the level with him. Maybe it's just a little too high, or is it the competition he faced? It's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other for me.
Well, I mean, he's running speed figures that make him the horse to beat in this race. No, not competitive. He's higher than the other horses, which is why he's going to be favored in this race. And obviously, Agalos the Great and Caldo Candy and what you're talking about are better horses than the ones that he's facing today. It worries me a little bit. He got such a good trip when he won 3 races back. But I don't disagree. He seems to have held his form for Wayne Potts, and he seems like a very logical horse in this race. It is a race that doesn't feature a ton of pace, but he's not that slow.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to be compromised.
No.
The speed, I mean, we'll take a look. Well, actually, we'll take a look at Gray Wing. And Gray Wing is potentially the speed in this race. What is he doing here? I don't like him off this race where, frankly, I thought he got a little bit lucky to win.
Well, a little bit lucky to win, but in a way, wasn't it like his best thing that happened to him that he kind of broke a little bit slow in that race
Yes.
too? So he was able to kind of sit behind the other speeds and get the trip in here. Gets claimed by Oscar Barrera now off of 283 buyer figures, which kind of puts the horse in the discussion. And the smart thing is Oscar's running him back quick in this spot while the horse is going good. I have the horse fourth in here. I'm not crazy about him off that race, but I mean, with the figures that he had, if he runs back to the race, he's going to be in the mix at least.
And Oscar had that horse he claimed, that I think a lot of people, myself included, were skeptical he would run back to the numbers, and he's very much run back to those numbers. I don't really like this horse. As you can see, I don't have my top four, but I don't think he's impossible. I don't think that heavyweight champ is impossible on the inside, but I do feel like, as we watched his last race, he very much benefited from the racetrack, and I thought it really helped him get it done, and that speed was good, and he kind of had the run of the race, and the horse that's chasing him, he's sort of taken out of his game to try to beat him, and he just couldn't run him down. I mean, doesn't Romero have to gun from the inside with him?
Yeah, I mean, that's your best way of winning, and I agree with everything you said about the last race. And even if you want to go all the way back in time to his maiden race last year, yeah, he put up a good figure in that spot, and he was on the lead, but he was supposed to win in that spot, and he was able to clear and draw away and control. I don't trust him in here. I don't have him in the top four, but the best bet is to go.
Yeah, I like the 4, factually correct. I don't love him, but I really didn't want to take the number 5, Acoustic Avenue, at a short price near, even though I have no argument he's the horse to beat in this race. You look at his last race, a bit of an outside flow in that race, and it's a race that kind of came apart a little bit at the seams, and I thought he was very much against it the most in that race, factually correct. Cantermachi, Ilke's been doing very well. He's coming off the claim. He has the benefit from being outside the other speed, so if he outruns them early, he's in front, but if not, at least he's not put under any pressure. And I just thought he might be at least a fair enough price in here. You've got 10-cent Town second. Rick Dutrow does not have good numbers off a layup. 6 to 12-month layups in dirt sprints since coming back. He's just 1 for 19 with a 46-cent ROI. And while obviously he has races good enough, I wonder if he might just need one off the layoff. But if you think that, you think he may get a decent trip in here, I guess he's not impossible.
Yeah, from outside the other speeds. And I thought last time out before the layoff, that race was kind of strangely run, too. I feel like it was one of those, like, undecisive, rare moments you get from Jose Gomez.
Indecisive?
That he should have went through. He should have just went through and instead of waiting a little bit. So we'll see what happens with him. I just really liked Acoustic Avenue a lot in here. We'll see what we get from him, and we'll see what we get off the layoff from 10-cent Town.
All righty, race number 3. As we go to race number 3, we'll take the replay that Everly's Girl and Condiment Girl and Raw Power ran 1, 2, 3, and they all come back. Where do you stand with these horses? Who do you like out of the race? Do you like any of them?
Condiment Girl, I like out of the race, and I have the horse on top just based on the fact that the race kind of fell apart and was wide when maybe the inside was a better spot to be. And you can see that Everly's Girl got the sweet trip up the rail to get the job done in there from Heenan Harkey. So I would rather have Condiment Girl out of that spot based on that race. I really thought Condiment Girl was going to win that race too, and it took a dirty beat there. So with an inside draw today, I just feel like she's going to get a better trip she got last time.
Yeah, I don't like her particularly, but of the horses from the race, she would be the only one I would take because, as you said, she was the one that was 3-4 wide around the track, and you probably wanted to be inside where Everly's Girl obviously got that great ride and trip up the rail, and Raw Power spent a lot of time on the inside as well before angling out in the late stages. So none of these horses did a lot for me. I don't like the race in and of itself, and I just kind of wanted other horses. And I thought that My Royal Vow was an interesting horse. I think the mile should be okay for her. She's run well not well, but she's run okay going a bit longer in the past. And you look at her races, she's been running against better horses. I think her second 2 races back would probably win this race. And last time out, she was caught chasing outside on a day where the rail was the place to be, and she's a bit over her head. And I just think she gets a lot of class relief. I doubt very seriously I get 8 to 1 on her. I certainly hope that I do. But I think with her drop down, I think in the 4 to 1 range, she makes a lot of sense in this range.
Yeah, I have her second in here for all the reasons that you said, and I'd like to see Paul Barrow get a win because he's a great trainer upstate, and down here this year his horses just haven't run as well.
Well, hang on. He does very well at Finger Lakes, and I don't mean this as any criticism of him, but he's got 8 wins in the last 5 years at Naira, so it's not as though his horses over time have done that well in New York. And I do think it's a bit of a concern. He does win a lot at Finger Lakes, and I'm not questioning his training ability. But as far as winning races at Naira, it's something he doesn't do very often.
No, and I agree. I agree. He's run some limited spots too, but
He's probably running a lot of horses just
Yeah,
aren't
that
that
aren't
good.
ready
I'm not.
for
I
the-
don't.
yeah,
I'm not
no, I
saying
agree.
this is
Listen,
a
I agree.
criticism, but this is not a trainer who has a boatload of wins at Naira.
yeah, and I have the horse second. Like I said, I have 1s and 3s for me.
I thought April Antics should be respected a little bit in here, chasing outside. I know that the track was fair last time. I just felt like in this race, I kind of wanted to stay away in general from the horses coming out of the second race on February 22nd. So I've got April Antics in there as well. They're 2 horses that I would use. I didn't really like any of the others.
Yeah.
Race number 4. So we'll take a look at Amundsen's last race, where he kind of tired from chasing Dots Dollar, who was allowed to run the race in here, and allowed Tetsu to pick him up at the end. Do you think he's going to run better off the layoff? What do you think the chances are we can see him getting back to one of his good races? Because if he does that, he's going to smother this field. But you have to ask yourself what a fair price is, and how confident you are he's still that horse.
Yeah, I have him second in here. I know that it was a day where speed was good, and most of the horses went either wire to wire or set second that day, but maybe he got a little tired first start off the layoff with the chase, but I don't know. He's run so much better than that. And we talked about this last time he ran because we were both on, like, do you think he's going to be the same horse? Are we going to get the same race out of him? I guess today's the day you're going to find out. Maybe if you want to give him a pass for last time just because it was off of the layoff, but I don't know. What do you I mean, I have a
second time
here.
waiver. They're going to use
Yeah.
the waiver second time. I don't like the second time waiver rule. I think the waiver is a fair rule for one race off the
I agree.
layoff. But I don't think you're supposed to get a second chance. I don't really understand how that benefits anybody, to be honest. It's sort of overly fair to guys laying horses up. So, but that's another story. I think he's the horse to beat. I didn't really feel like picking him on top. Yeah. You've picked the very logical other horse on the drop-down forward move, who I'm not a huge fan of, but I can understand seeing him as a somewhat logical other choice.
Yeah, I mean, just draws outside today, drops in class, going to have some options against this group. He's faced much better fields. Comes out of that Agalos, the great race that we talked about too, and those horses have run well, over time, in spots. So just with the drop, because you go back to it last time that he ran for a tag too, when he ran for 25,000 non-winners at 2. He ran a good race that day. So this is probably the right spot for him, and Linda does this all the time.
Doesn't his recent form worry you a little bit? Even his win in the 4-horse field was hardly exciting at 4 to 5.
Yeah, it didn't
and I
blow you
worry he's
away.
just a little bit of, for a horse that's the morning line favorite, I wonder, and he can win, I'm not.
Yeah, no,
it's. But I wonder if his good form has really kind of left him a little bit. So
it may have left him exposed
Yeah,
with that race for sure, but the figures he put up, I mean, I think they probably win here unless Amundsen doesn't run.
Well, I don't know.
You
His
figure maybe Pop
74
Coy
buyer
or
2
two.
back doesn't make him any kind of lock in here. There are a lot of horses. I mean, Scaramanga is capable of running
Scaramanga,
numbers
yes.
in that
Yeah.
range. I think the horse I picked is capable of running, and I'll get to him in a second. I don't like excellent timing. I think, the clock is struck 12 for him, but he is the controlling speed here, and he comes out of an absolutely impossible spot last time, and even though it's the same level, this is a significantly easier race than he was in, and I worry a little bit. He is a quitter, but I worry a little that he may hold on today. I picked Pop Coyer, who I'm not really thrilled with, but he did get caught last time wide on a track that was very kind to speed, coming off the claim for Chris Englehart. I thought he was a little bit interesting coming in off the claim for Chris last time out. He was compromised by the racetrack in there, and I don't think he ran that badly. And I feel like I want to give him one more chance. And it just seemed to me that this was a decent race to take a chance with somebody else, whether it's him or it's a horse like Scaramanga, or even you think excellent timing could hold on, because I don't trust that Amundsen's still very good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of forward move. He can win. I'm not wildly against either one of these horses, but I simply wanted somebody else.
Yeah, and in Pop Coyer's case, too, even 2 starts back, he ended up being really wide, too, at the top of the stretch, too. My biggest problem with him is he seems like he's a better Finger Lakes horse. Now, maybe today he'll get a fairer shake.
That's fair.
We'll see what happens today. But he drops back down again, and if he can get a good enough trip, he's certainly good enough on past races. He's got to just bring it here and actually finish.
But you're right. His better races have come at Finger. That's a very fair point. That's the first 4, the late pick 4. We've got that special bonus opted at Naira Bets for the $10 money back guarantee. And a late pick 4. We'll talk about that after a quick break.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Paul Verderosa and Andy Serling. Race number 5. They're going 6.5 furlongs. And a lot of people are going to be betting on Short Shift in this race. I am not one of them. I'm not saying she can't win. We'll take a look at her last race. But I'm going to be honest with you. Why am I supposed to take her off of this loss? I know it got a big figure, but how did she lose this race? Now she's going 6.5 furlongs. And I think the horse that you have on top, Shaman Princess, is going to be sort of stalking outside of her. And while she's faster, I can't take a horse that stopped as badly as she did last time out.
Yeah, this was tough, and I have this horse second in here, and I know if people want to say, well, she opened up too soon or whatever. She just stopped at the end of this race and got caught. I don't really particularly... I know I have the horse second, but all my eggs are in the Shaman Princess basket today, just based off the last start. So I thought she ran really well when you take a look at the grand scheme of things in that race, because that race kind of fell apart. I mean, Legrat...
No, it didn't.
You don't think the race I said it kind
No, it did not fall apart.
Legrat was the only one who made up any ground in there.
Legrat wasn't that far out of it. Legrat got a very good trip, and I bet her, and I was lucky to win with her in there. I don't think it fell apart. I think it was a sort of fairly run race. Ali Song was on top of the pace. She made a move around the turn. I don't think
but she kind of dropped back then.
I will respectfully disagree that the race fell apart. I don't think it was a speed-dominated race, but just because it's not speed-dominated doesn't mean it fell apart.
No, all right, that's fair. But in this race today, I think she's going to be outside of Short Shift for sure, and I don't think Eastern Star is that particularly fast to be really going crazy.
She should be sitting second.
She should be sitting in second, and if she gets the jump on this field, she might just beat them based on what's in it.
She might.
Yeah.
She might. I'm not sure what to do with her. Her last race was sort of an aberration. She's not a horse that's run too many good races on the dirt. She's not getting the lead. The 6 is faster than her. She has to engage that one. I've got her second. I don't disagree with you. I'm not a big fan of the 6, so she seems like a logical horse in this race. I mean, you could take Mia Nipotina, but she was horrendous in her last start. I know she broke her maiden 2 back, and she gets back to that race, she has a chance to win, but I can't really excuse her last. So I'm going to take the drop down on Dream on Cara. And Gustavo Rodriguez horses have been running a bit lately, and that's something that hadn't happened for quite a while. I know she's a 1 for 25 loser. Believe me, I'm well aware of it. But you got 1 for 19 and 1 for 10 and 1 for 16 and 1 for 12 and 1 for 19. So I don't really want to pay too much attention to that because they're all kind of proven losers in here. And she does lack speed, but I think the speed in here is a little bit questionable. And I thought she just might be a little interesting. This is a much easier spot than she's been in recently. The problem with her is she is a wee bit slow.
Yeah.
She's not really fast enough. I'm going to have to hope that she runs her absolute best race, but it's not like the horses like the 6 and 7 are that good.
No, they're not total
locks. She has to be a little bit faster.
And to be fair to Dream on Cara, she just does not like a wet track that much either, and she ended up really wide, too, in the stretch last time, too. So, I mean, when she was...
I just thought she was an interesting
listen, 2
alternative
starts back, I
for
know
a
the
barn
race
that's been
came
kinda
up
wide.
slow, but she ran down. I'm kidding, who was loose in there. So, I mean, she still ran her down. I mean, I know it was slow.
She beat Mia Nipotina.
Yeah.
See what happens in race number 5, the 6th race at 7 furlongs. And there's a lot to look at in this race. And why don't you start with the horse that you and I both have on top, and I'll let you talk about Reddington.
So Reddington dropping in class today is first and foremost for me. But also, when you go back and look at this horse, February 8th was up against it as well. Speed was good that day. Ended up chasing Ridgewood Runner, wired the field. Then you go back to January 12th for this horse, and this horse ended up inside on the pace when you probably wanted to be outside that day with horses coming from off the pace there. It's just faced so many better horses.
Are you at all worried, though, about a couple of things? Number one, when this horse got good, Eddie Barker's barn was going very well. He's quieted down. It's hard to sort of keep those kind of runs up.
Yeah.
And I've picked him. And while obviously chasing down on the inside against that field is the wrong place for him to be, does it bother you that he seemed to lack speed last time? Because he has been a horse that's had a lot of speed.
He was a little bit slower than he has been in the past, sitting 5th and 2.5 lanes off. But, I mean, Ridgewood Runner kind of went fast in there, and you look at the horses that were in that race.
They didn't go that fast. He didn't have the
he
speed
just didn't have
normally
what he had. But I wonder if the drop is a function of that. Maybe that he's going the wrong way, or he's going to run better today because, I mean, just when you look at the grand scheme of things, he's not beating horses like Yo Daddy and El Grande O.
He's a horse that they paid way too much money for. Having said that, they got out, basically.
Yeah,
they made the money to get back. So I can understand trying to move on. It was a bad buy at 120 that kind of worked out okay for them.
Yeah.
And I guess if they could win here and get claimed for 50, they'll come out with a small profit in the whole thing, and it'll sort of, work out well for them. So I can understand. I think the drop is not that bad. It's a logical
grand
drop,
scheme, yeah.
especially considering how he ran last time. And I picked him, but I'm concerned about his last race. Thing is, I don't love a lot of horse in here. We'll look at Magnificent Mile, and I do want to show the start of his race last time because he did have trouble in this race, and he probably ran the best race. He broke a little slow, and the door kind of closed on him. He's not that fast, so I don't know that it really badly affected him. He ran a big figure in here, and he's got good figures going back. I just don't trust that 90 figure is really legitimate for him. But honestly, I do think he's very dangerous here.
Sure, and especially off the trouble in the last start and even the slight little bump he took 2 starts back as well. So, I mean, if he puts up that number and runs that race, he can certainly win in here. I have him third in this spot. I'd like you also just wonder if that race was an aberration just because of the way things kind of set up a little bit.
It's an aberrant number for him. He's run solid numbers, and it doesn't need to run a 90 to win here unless Reddington runs his good race. But overall, I just worry that it's a little bit slow. Who'd you pick second here?
The one, Unlimited Potential, the other
Talk
half of
about
the
him.
entry in here. And last time ended up running into Grooven last time, and I thought this horse actually ran a very good race, all things considered. Having to be up on that pace in that race and everything, and they kind of went faster in the second quarter than they did in the first.
Well,
so.
that happens a lot.
Yeah,
for in a mile race.
Yeah, especially here. So I just thought today with that kind of level drop in class now today too, I thought he was going to be forward in a spot where he could, if he runs his good race, he could be a little bit tough in here.
I don't disagree. The problem is he also has an entry mate, so you're guaranteed a bad price. Not that the entry mate's totally impossible in this race. I want to look at President Z's last win because even though it's a little bit slower, it is Rick Dutrow, and he did improve last time. It's a weird race because this was the day after we had an extraordinary gold rail day, and it felt like the early races were run absolutely the different manner with a big outside flow. The track seemed to sort of even out as the day went on, but I'm kind of wondering if the track was really very much in his favor for here, and he is going to have to run better than this to compete here, but I do respect Rick, and I don't think he's totally impossible.
No, he's just going to have to get a little bit faster, and last time out he looked good in that win too, so I don't fully trust him, but again, it's Rick's barn, and you just never know.
Let's go 3 races back with mandatory to almost exactly a year ago on March 29th of last year when he won this race, and then his form just completely and totally disintegrated. Where do you stand with him?
I have the horse fourth, and I actually end up scratching into him fourth.
Me too.
In this spot, and maybe he was just going sour after having 3 big races. Maybe it just took a lot out of him.
Well, where did they come from?
It's
not that he didn't have any ability before, but he suddenly exploded, especially with that effort on February 16th.
Yeah, that was huge. And then I didn't like the fact that in those 2 starts after, he was starting to now get out of the gate a little bit slower than he was, and maybe he was just going south. Now, listen, at 8 years old, do you think he's going to come back and repeat that form? That's the biggest. I don't either. I don't trust it. I mean, I don't
like him in here.
Yeah, I mean, I scratched into him like you for fourth, but I am not his biggest fan today. But, I mean, at one time, he was certainly pretty good. I mean,
John Kimmel on 6 to 12-month layoffs on the dirt. He's 0 for 26 over the last 5 years, and this horse that's been off for 9 months, so he falls dead center in there. Yeah. In sprints off that 6 to 12-month layoffs, he's 0 for 19 with 7 hitting the board. He was third a couple of times. I am not excited by those stats, and I think there's a real question. But if you like him, he should at least be a fair price.
Yeah, I think he would be like 5-6 to 1 in here probably.
We'll see. Race number 7. Well, race number 7, a very interesting race. And if race number 7 doesn't have an honest pace, then I think we should probably just shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, or we should sit down with the jockeys and ask them at what point you get 4 speeds together and you actually have an honest pace. I know I see it at Oaklawn all the time. You don't see it a lot here. And we'll take a look at La Banquera, who you have fourth. I have nowhere. I
have him fourth. You have him.
I do have her fourth, so we'll have to see those picks when we get back because I did pick her fourth. But anyway, she's not getting loose in here unless, I don't know what, unless, unless the anti-Mensa meeting of riders. She does draw outside of the other speeds in here, but don't you have to worry that she may not be as successful with a much more honest pace, though she is clearly gotten to be in good form for Linda.
Sure, but I also feel like that all 3 of her wins are also dressed up by tracks that kind of helped her along the way as well. So that was one of my biggest issues with her.
My pick should be 7, 3, 4, 5 in here. I did not have the 6th third. I may have sent it wrong. If I did, I apologize, but I'm 7, 3, 4, 5 in this race.
I mean, that's my feeling on her. The extra speed's not going to help her, but I also felt like that she's been dressed up with all 3 of her wins where speed was good those days and the track helped her out as well.
So is no Lita, I think there's a lot of speed and the race is going to fall apart?
Yeah, it closed into, well, yeah, for me, that's basically it. I know that she, 2 back, she ran the best race when the race kind of blew up in the stretch. And
Well,
she broke the race open, too.
Ariana Rye ran a better race than she did.
Yes.
I mean, you can argue that she moved
And they kind of bumped, too,
early
in
in
the
a race
stretch.
that
Yeah.
fell apart late, but Ariana Rye was completely shuffled out of position. She has a win 2 starts later, but she is the closer in a race filled with speed, I guess.
And then last time out, too, she kind of got caught behind a horse that was kind of getting tired and kind of ended up inside as well. So I don't know. I figured there was enough pace to kind of set her up in here, and hopefully this race kind of falls apart. I mean, go back 3 starts back, she kind of closed into kind of a middling kind of pace as well. So, she can run on, and I just feel like this is, if she's going to get a win today, this is probably her best spot to do it in this spot, if the speeds are all there.
Okay. I thought Jackson's Dixie was dangerous in this
she's a good
race.
horse.
She's a horse, well, you don't like her, but that's fine. She's a horse that sort of been double compromised. She was against much better horses last time out. 2 races back, she was off the rail on a day you were probably better off being down inside. And I think she's overall been in reasonably good form. And, interesting trainer change to Carlos Figueroa. It's the same owner before. So I didn't think she was impossible. I considered picking her on top. I picked True Empress because, in my opinion, True Empress has been compromised a couple of times. She caught that wet track last time where she was out in the middle of the racetrack. I'm not convinced she didn't run well, but I don't think she ran that badly. And then the 2 times ago, she was in a race where the pace was just, the racetrack and the pace just completely held together, and she figures to get some speed. Now, it is very tricky to bet on horses that are closers, as you and I are projecting to do in this race, in races that are loaded with speed, because we have seen way too many times for comfort races where there's need the lead types, and 2 of them or 3 of them rate. Sue Ellen Michigan has got to go in this race.
Agreed.
But she has the same trainer. No, she doesn't have the same trainer, excuse me. So she's got to go. And Ilke doesn't rate speed horses.
No, not at all.
Amazing Dottie. Is she going to rate a little bit? Maybe, but she's really a forwardly placed horse. La Banquera clearly has to go. And what is Peak of Chic doing here if she's not going to be aggressive? But maybe the pace doesn't get that strong, but at the very least, don't Sue Ellen Michigan and La Banquera have to go?
I agree, and to be honest, every time we've seen Peak of Chic here in New York, that horse has been on the lead and forward in
She's
here
quick.
too. Yeah, she's quick.
Yeah.
So I would think,
I don't believe it'll happen because I've been around here
it just doesn't
too
happen
long.
where
It's
you're going
not
to
the
get 4 of
80s
them
anymore.
going out. Yeah, no, I agree.
But if there's not
It's
a pace
tough.
in this race, I think some people have some questions to answer. Race number 8. We'll take a look at Counter Move, who I think we both have on top. And I don't think I ran out of steam. I thought long and hard about betting against this horse, but I don't know. I thought this horse ran really well. And I feel like this might be a little bit better race than it looks based on the figure.
Yeah, I agree, and they went kind of fast too from a pace standpoint early. And listen, he was right up there with it, and smart thing by Jose Lezcano, keeping the horse wide, not trying to tuck in or anything. And this horse still ran on, even out in the clear. I think with any kind of second-time improvement, this horse is way the horse to beat in here. We'll see what happens today. Probably be forward. We'll see if any of the firsters show some speed or what Omaha Pistol does. But, I mean, this is just a logical horse off of that race. And was the longer of the 2 that were in there that day for George Weaver, too.
I don't
Ran a better race.
disagree. I thought this horse was way the horse to beat, and in Bennings, you got the 2 in there because he does have some pedigree to be a runner.
Yeah.
I think Attorney Wade is dangerous and near a second-time starter for John Kimmel. Thought he got a pretty good trip last time out, but I don't think he's impossible in there. And I also think Dear Chairman, the cutback's going to help, but you've got the Greg Sacco firster. At least this one's not a, what is it, Jovia?
Jovia.
You're still going to working hard to get Jovia's first win as a stallion?
Hey, listen, I'm trying.
Well, you didn't pick this one on top.
No, I picked this horse second here because I just thought Counter Move was just way the horse.
Well, not enough to overcome your mad love of the Greg Sacco barn.
I know.
It is. It's
No,
very touching.
To be
I'm
fair,
moved by it.
Listen, this. I know it's a first foal from an unraced am, but you go back and you look at the second am, Casino Transaction was a good Sprinter Stakes winner as well for all of these connections.
$143,000. Yeah, no, I agree.
Red Oak and Greg
King for a
Sacco
day.
in here, and I just wasn't. I wasn't thrilled with the Omaha Pistols of the world. I didn't know what to do with a horse like Dear Chairman.
Well, Omaha Pistol was horrendous
Yeah,
last
it was
time.
terrible
I could never
last
bet that
time.
horse.
So and I'm sure that horse is going to take a little bit of money. And Attorney Wade too. I kind of feel like even though he ran a good race last time, I just don't know what to make of it with John Kimmel now coming off of a shorter layoff. So 6s and 5s for me in here. Just trying to get a price behind the favorite.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
See what happens. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have a $10 money back bonus. Bet over $10 on the late pick 4 or $10 or above. And opt in, as I've already done. Hit 3 or 4 legs. It's better to hit 4 or 4 and not get the bonus, but it's not bad to get it back if you don't. You've got an early cross-country pick 5.
Nice.
That was a good throw.
That was a good one.
I'm kind of proud of that, actually. The only thing that I'm not telling you is I was aiming for the other garbage can. But anyway, the show today, 1:30 to 3:30, and then for those of you who have the stamina, we're theoretically on 5:30 to 6:30. Nice 9th race today, though. Very solid prep for the Oaklawn Handicap, which is coming up in a month or so. So stick around for that. Paul, once again, thank you. Thanks for watching. Chris Griffin's up next with a reprise. The Scratch and Changes. Have a great day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.